Hello, and welcome back to the sim. In this one, we're jumping into the PMDG 777 and Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. However, we're going to show you how to use a few different devices in SPAD.neXt to download snippets for a device you don't have. So in this video, we are kind of going to be focusing on the Thrustmaster TCA throttle. However, using the Boeing throttle, there may not be as many snippets available, but boy, is there a lot of Bravo throttle snippets. We're going to show you how to leverage vJoy. Yep, that's right. So this is using a Bravo, a vJoy, and a Thrustmaster Boeing throttle all inside of this video. So let's jump in and get started. So this guy here, I want those throttles to map to the throttle. I want the speed brake to map to the speed brake or spoilers. And I want to be able to set up some of the other buttons for being able to control the autopilot. And I'll probably use these two buttons here for flaps. Every time somebody mentions a different control device, it could be a Moza throttle, a Virpil throttle. If there's a device, they generally show up as joysticks. So when we look at the Windows game controller, Bravo has a custom UI with the tabs. And I don't have a Bravo plugged into this computer. It's in my other simulator. So I can't just go to it and copy the vents across. And downloading that device onto this device could be problematic. So instead, we're going to use vJoy as an intermediary. Normally this vJoy is mapped inside of SPAD as nothing because I'm actually mapping it inside of Microsoft Flight Sim to do all of my views. What I do with this is use it as kind of pasting board. I will download a Bravo device snippet onto this, copy things off of it, and place it onto my other joystick. And then I'll come back and I'll simply just go under device settings and I will reset the device so that it just clears it back out because I don't really need anything mapped to the vJoy. Now, if you recall, we've done the vJoy video and I'll link it here. As well as in the show notes, I'm going to link you to the most current supported version that works in Windows 11 as well as Microsoft 2024 just fine. With vJoy, you can actually make multiple vJoys. Any Windows game control device can support up to 8 axis and 128 buttons, plus POV hats if you want to add those as well. So I've configured mine, as you can see, to support all 8 axis and 128 buttons. That way we can leverage just about any device. Now, if you look at any of these other devices, so here we can see our TCA Boeing quadrant. When it shows up inside of Windows, it's got the X and Y axis, the Z axis, and then it's got the RX, RY, RZ, because they're the rotation axis. And then is slider and dial, and those are the standardized names inside of the HID game controller device. And then any number of buttons that they may have. So as you can see, as we switch to those different buttons, view, you can see I'm turning this and those lights are changing. We press this button, that button. So they're essentially under the hood, all the same thing. It's just throttle 1 might not be axis 1. It could be the RZ axis. You don't know exactly how they align or the physical buttons. We're going to use vJoy inside of SPAD.neXt to solve this for us. So here on my Thrustmaster Boeing throttle, you could see we have this custom UI. But as I showed you, under the hood, it's just a HID device. So you could see button 7 is here. Button 10 is here. On the axis, you could see RX axis left thrust lever. And when you go to the add event, you'll see there is a button. This is the button that's on the axis. This is the reverse lever, so it's the switch that's on the axis. And we can control all that with the custom user interface. But inside of game controllers, they're really just showing up as buttons. So let's go ahead, get our 777 Bravo snippet downloaded. So I'm going to click on any button or any axis. We're going to come here to the online snippets button, And we'll just get the webcam out of the way for now. Obviously, it's going to open up on a virtual joystick. However, if we scroll up, you'll see we have access to every single device that has something published. So I'm going to come to the Bravo Throttle quadrant, then I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to make sure that I take the complete device. Now, of course, there's over 385 of 7,000 online snippets that we've now filtered down to. We're also going to type in 777 so that we can filter it further. So now we're down to 12 devices. And now we can see it uses SimConnect, PMDG, and it uses different items. Now here's my Bravo snippet that I built. And so I want to download this. And you can hit the eyeball if you have complete edition. It's going to open up and it's going to show you exactly that information. So as you can see, the buttons and the axis, these are things that have a standardized name. It's just the UI is mapped to them to give you that hardware looking device. Click OK to download this. Do you want to replace all the settings? Yes. So this has now set the vJoy to have all the assignments that match that of the Bravo. Button 1 on the Bravo is actually the heading button. So that's the autopilot heading button, shows up on button 1, which of course has an LED. So this is also very cool. It doesn't throw away these assignments. It does flag you that, well, this device doesn't have an LED here. But I could copy this to the heading button on my Logitech multi-panel, and I would now get the assignments for what it's supposed to do with the heading button, including driving the LED lights. I could even use this on an MCP, and then I would come in and I'd start messing with the change trigger to associate it to the correct type of event that that device supports. We can also name things. So you'll see here, these did get named in the profile. So when I look at this online snippet, it had come in with the name Throttle 2. So it made my life a lot easier to see what's assigned. One of the other things to remember is if you hold down Control, you now see green. So this was another feature that was added recently in SPAD.neXt to show you all the places that are mappable. Which of course, when you see the buttons in axis like this, it's not as important. It makes more sense on a device that you're wondering where are all the places on this that I can actually map something. While holding Control, if I press Alt, well, now it shows me everything that does have something mapped. So it's real easy for me to go, okay, well, I need to go to button 10. Oh, right. On the Bravo, where I was using the throttle axis in the middle, so the third one in for my throttle number 1, that was set up that the lever, so the reverse lever on the throttle using the standard Boeing throttles, well, button 10 is the reverse lever. And if you go back and you look at how we set up that for the 737 and the 777, you'll see that I would use that to set a mode. And then that way I could be in reverse mode or not, and then I can move the throttles forward again when the reverses are up to control the reverse thrust. I'm going to want this button 10 to be on the reverse switch. So I can copy all events of button 10. And if we turn on the Lego block, then if I come to this handle and I flip the handle up, you'll see that it jumps to the device and to what it was that I pulled up. So now we're going to hit the paste button, and you'll see that it has been assigned to a trigger. Now if we go to the trigger, instead what we want to do is we want to change this to the on and off. So it picked button pressed because that's what it picked. Well, the press buttons is going to be the auto throttle disconnect button. It's not going to be that switch. The switch is the on and off. So when the switch is on, so we're going to change trigger to on. And then here, we're going to change this trigger to when the switch is off. So now we have covered our reverse mode. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. I also want to get the toga button. So remember, the toga button is here. Well, on the Bravo, Control-Alt, I believe it was like 19. So we're going to go to 19. Nope, that's the wrong one. So then we're going to go to 30. And there we go. There's the auto throttle disengage switch. Perfect. So it was on button 30. With this one, I had it that a short press was going to do the toga switch and a longer time was going to do the auto throttle disconnect. So we're going to copy these events again. Copy all events. We're going to press that button so the UI jumps back here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to paste. Now, because we have more than one event, it's going to ask, do you want to replace all the events? And yes would delete these and replace those. No means merge. So we're going to hit the no button so that it adds them as a merge. And you could see the button pressed for a short time, button for a longer time when held. So exactly how we had them mapped, it now comes across, because again, those are what the button presses on this axis are considered. And of course, now we need the throttle to go along with it. We're going to come to our throttle, and here we can see we had those two axis assignments. One is when the reverse mode is disabled, then it's going to control throttle without reverser. Enabled, so when the lever is up, we're going to do reversers on engine 1. So we're going to go ahead, copy all these events again. We come here to the paste, and again we say no so that it'll merge it, and now we have axis change and we have the throttle. So if we go back over to the sim right now and we see that, well, look at that, right? So there's reverse, thrust, and then down. So here the problem, of course, is for this axis, on this device, the events are now flipped. So we're just going to come back over, we're going to click on this, we're going to come into without to our reverser. So this is using a standard axis event, so we're going to look at it. And you can see that it's looking at the value from 1023 to 0. So it's basically inverted. So right now is actually full thrust. So we can hit set for full thrust. We can move it down to the bottom. And remember, this is 65,500, 16-bit DAC instead of a 10-bit DAC. Now, these I find have a tendency, it's really hard. So this is where you can have that idle thrust range. So you can leave it up a little bit, hit set, come all the way down to the bottom, hit set, and then all the way at the top, same thing. If you really wanted to, you could leave a little bit of range just in case it doesn't fully close off. So now that we've done all of this, we hit OK, and now we have saved that. When we look back at Microsoft Flight Sim, now it's programmed, now we've got our throttle. Now we come all the way back, and there it is. Still have to also do the same for the reverser. So the reverser values on the left are going to be the correct values. We definitely rolled the plane. Those aren't what you're changing. That's what it's going to send when these values equal. These, again, like we said, are kind of upside down. So now from idle, right, we're actually down here. And full reverse thrust. And so again, for that idle, we want to, from idle thrust, we're just gonna move it up a little bit. Move it all the way down. There we go, that's the full range. And then we'll do that. Just gets us a little bit closer. Let's go back to the sim. So now when we lift that reverser, you can see it go all the way. We come all the way back. We drop it, and now we're in forward thrust again. Reverser, start to apply. And away we go. Say Bravo speed. I did that so that I would know when I turn my Bravo knob. and it clicked into that spot, what mode it was doing. So this is just speech to text, and I put that on the knob. This same button, which was button 17, this we're going to put on the IAS mock button. So we're going to go ahead. So this switch, when it clicks here, it actually presses a button. So we're going to copy this event. And so now we are on, as you can see, the IAS mock. We're going to go ahead, hit paste.
Bravo speed.
That's what it will sound like. So this is going to play out that audio, and it's going to allow us to tell ourselves where it is. Only now, it's not Bravo speed. It's TCA speed.
TCA speed.
So now I know it's TCA speed. Change trigger, mode IAS, not button pressed. There we go. And then we're going to use the old copy this event. We're going to paste this event, or Control-C, Control-V. I'm going to change trigger to mode heading. Heading.
TCA heading. TCA speed.
Now this is the one place where this falls a little bit short, and that's because the autopilot encoder from the Bravo does not directly show up as two different buttons. So unfortunately, grabbing this is not the same. We can, easily remap those. It works the exact same way. You decide when that button is one of its buttons, it's going to send a different event. And with PMDG, it's pretty easy because everything is a mouse selector event. Well, then we're going to add an event, and it's going to be tuner counterclockwise. And again, since there's only 3 modes, we're going to add the condition, local devices, the quadrant, and it is 12, 13, and 14, as we remember from the HID device. When that button equals 1, we're going to send simulation event, PMDG 777. And I think by using MCP, it brings it down a little bit. And then we want heading selector. And as with all PMDGs, you have this mouse interpretation, so it automatically sets the values for you. So this is going to be a mouse wheel down. So now we have that. We're going to hit Control-C, Control-V. We are going to change that trigger to a clockwise. And if I had hit Control-E, it would have been faster. And then we're going to go mouse wheel up. And we'll come back into the plane, and we should be turning the heading, though we did that for the wrong thing, right? Because that's supposed to be IAS mock. So we're going to come back over to SPAD.neXt, and we are going to go Control-C, Control-V, Control-C, Control-V. And then we are going to Control-E, edit this one, and this is going to be when button 13 is a 1, when button 13 is a 1. So that's the heading. And then we want to come back here, and we're going to go MCP, oh, there it is, speed selector. Hover there, Control-E brings it up a lot faster. And we go to speed selector. So now when we jump back over,
TCA heading.
And now we're controlling the heading. And then
TCA speed.
And there's our TCA speed. It's a lot easier inside of SPAD.neXt to go ahead and use the vJoy, download the snippet, copy all the things that you need over to your throttle. So now I'm taking a Bravo, putting it on a TCA, it could be a Bravo, putting it onto a Moza. I can do all of this really easy, and then when I'm done, I just remember to come back to my vJoy, come to device settings, reset device profile, right? And so now it's going to completely reset the vJoy and set it back to normal. So now that we've done that, we can see that our vJoy, everything has been cleared off of it. So I'm not going to have to worry about that. But when I come back to my Boeing throttle, the things that we assigned are now present. Considering you made it this far and we flipped the plane over on its head, I think I'm going to have to restart the sim before we take off. If you guys made it this far, please do hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't, and come along next time. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.